Even though I took losses, I pretty much just made them back. Let's just put that there so we can see it. Now which way am I going to go? Well, this level has held. We've gone back into expansion. We've definitely broke the previous candle's high. So all three things are now in agreement. This is certainly not an indecision candle, is it? It's very decisive. All three things are in agreement that price is going to continue higher. This is the next level I sort of want to watch. So there's no reason now for me to sell until price gets right to the top. So the next day I am going to buy again. Let's see what happens. Little indecision candle. Okay, so now we've got indecision. We've gone to contraction and we've barely broken the high. Now it's formed in the middle of nowhere. If I just look here, is there any level here? Is there any reason for me to pay attention to this? No, there's not. Okay, let's just move this down. So what am I going to do the following day? Well, I'm going to buy again because it's the path of least resistance. There's no reason for me not to. Okay, the market's actually come back down. Remember I said I was going to buy? So we potentially, even though this is an indecision day, look, price has been up and down. It's possible I've got out at break even or even a profit during this day. It's also possible I maybe took some losses. However, let's just, in fact, sod it. Let's say I lost. Let's say I took some losses on this day. Is there any reason now for me to change my direction? I would say no. I would say if the following day is a big bearish day, I might consider it. But currently, we're in the middle of nowhere. There's no level here. Yes, we have indecision. Yes, we're in contraction. After contraction is going to come expansion, probably in the form of a big bullish candle. Has it broken the high of the previous candle? Yes, it has, but it closed back inside. I would still say this is probably going to go up, okay? So let's see what happens the next day. The next day I am going to buy, and hopefully I'm going to be right. Okay, that's definitely a winning day. I bought, finished there. And again, we haven't broken the previous candle's high. Let me just budge over a little bit. It is bigger than the previous day. I would say this is still contraction. Indecision, yes, certainly. There's wicks at both ends. So this, again, price will just go sideways for a couple of days before it makes its mind up. But yeah, at the end of this day, here, I would still buy because I'm still pretty confident if my arrow works. It's really annoying. I'm still pretty confident that we're going to get to at least this point here, okay? Price is going to push up. There's no reason for it not to. We're not breaking lows. And there you go. We've just gone back from contraction to expansion. Certainly not an indecision candle. And it's broken the high of the previous candle. So it's made it up to here. Now this is the point where I would start looking for a sell trade. Price has gone up a long way. Then I would look for indecision. I would expect it to contract because it's been expanding. And then I would expect it to break a low instead of a high and to come back down. So I've been whittering on now for about 16 minutes, okay? Hopefully you can see my thought process this whole time. But what I want to point out now is actually look, how good was my actual analysis then? Where am I going? I can't talk and do stuff at the same time. So the first couple of days, all relatively simple. I got a very clear candle down here. A very clear reversal pattern down here, which is what sort of convinced me to buy. And I bought and I was right. The next day I bought and I was right. The next day I bought, I was right. This day I thought it was going to drop and my analysis was wrong. Okay. On this day, I likely, if I couldn't get out at break even, I likely cut some trades and took a loss. Now let's just have a look at this. Worst case scenario is I lost something like 190 points. What had I already made previously? 900. So I'm still massively in profit at that point, okay? Massively. Then I go back to buying because the break and retest happened at this level. So having just dropped 190 points, the next day I make back 480. So I've already paid for this day twice over. Then I've obviously got some more winners in here and I take another losing day. Now let's assume worst case scenario, that was another 173 points lost. How long does it take me to make back that 173 points? Well, the next day, there's another 150 there. That's pretty much all of it back. And then the following day, another 467 on top of that. So overall then, in this move, you can see that even when you lose, you clearly have the opportunity to make it back. As long as you're sensible and you admit when you're wrong and you cut your trades, I even think, I'll be honest, especially on this day, I don't think there's actually any losers in here. I think it's highly unlikely any money was lost on this day. You would have been out at break even or a profit, I'm pretty sure, because the market just went sideways. So you would have been out. I'm going to count it as a loss anyway, just for this demonstration. This one, it's probably quite likely you took a loss, but as I said, you only gave back some of the profit from the previous 3 days, and the next day you made double what you lost the day before. So it really doesn't matter. So hopefully you can see how unimportant it is when you get the direction wrong. This is how I choose my bias. As I said, you can use any sort of strategy that you like. I just like to look for indecision, expansion and contraction, and whether or not it's breaking highs or lows. And that gives me the direction to trade for the entire day. Okay, that's how I do it. What I'll do now is I'll quickly just show you how I actually manage that on the lower time frames in terms of actual entries. So let me just quickly pause the video and I'll jump over to a 5-minute chart and I'll set up. Okay, so I'm now on the 5-minute chart, and what I'm going to do is just sort of show you how I trade throughout the day once I've got my bias. So this giant blue arrow is pointing up. So let's say that in this example I have been on a daily chart or the 1 hour or the 4 hour, and I've decided that today I'm bullish. I think the market is going to go up. So I'm only looking for buys from these levels, okay? It doesn't mean that I can't take a cheeky sell trade at sort of the 50%, or if it makes it all the way across, if price goes up, I can. What I tend to find is that when I do that, it usually bites me. I sometimes end up cutting that for a loss, and then I regret the fact that I did it when my analysis ends up being right. So the market might fly up all day and I'll try one cheeky little sell because I think I'm clever, and then I get it wrong and I end up giving back, you know, half a day's profits. That's what can happen. So there's really no need to try and take cheeky sell trades if your bias is telling you should be buying. The better thing to do would just to be patient and to sort of wait. Here's current price. Is it going to get to this level and bounce, or is it going to go up to this level, break, retest? This is the kind of stuff that you should be doing, okay? So you're only looking for buy trades and you're just being patient. Anyway, this green line is 7 o'clock. This is when I start trading. I've drawn on my news event. I've also marked on the half two, the New York Open, and this white line is 5 o'clock in the UK, which is the London close. Typically, I will have stopped trading before then. If I get 2 or 3 winners, sometimes maybe 4 or 5 if I'm feeling a bit greedy. If I've had quite a few winners through the day, I'll just stop. Even if it's lunchtime or just early afternoon, I don't carry on trading the whole day until I lose. Once I've won a few, that's it, I'm out. That's my day done. So that's pretty much how I'm going to trade this. Okay, we have our bias. Price is in between 2 levels. The plan is basically I will buy from this level and I will buy from this level, whichever one it reaches first. Let's have a look and see. In fact, before we go any further, let me zoom in so you can actually see what's happening here. Let's hope my arrows behave in this video. My arrows have been shocking recently. Okay, we got triggered in there. Beautiful, we're in a trade. TP is obviously at the next level. Oh, okay, it looks like I'm going to need a recovery trade. Hasn't quite triggered in yet, but if it does, okay, so we're now in. In this case, if price makes it there, I'm going to close both of them. This one will be at a profit, this one will be at break even, which will equal a profit overall. Am I going to need to put a recovery trade on? Okay, there we go. That's close as, that will do. Close them both there. So that's trade 1 done. We're just below this level, so all I need to do is obviously just make a decision again. Remember, only looking for buys. So do I want to buy from this level? Or if price falls back here, do I want to buy from this level? Let's say I reckon price is going to fall, just because it's wicking. I reckon price is going to fall and puts in another trade down here. Who knows? I've been wrong before. Okay, very sideways. And did that touch? Well, that one did. Okay, so again, we're back in a buy trade. This one, I'm just going to delete it because it's not actually there. So same as before, this is my TP. So daily bias has obviously been right. Now we're approaching this news event. Okay, now I've got to make a decision. This trade is in profit. We've got news here. I could just close it right now. Could just close it right now and then, you know, sit on the sidelines for the news event and see what happens after that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it, and I'm just going to put on a pending buy here. Remember, you don't want to put too many on news events because this could just spike right down. It could go up and hit our TP, it could go down. What I'll do is I'll put one on there, and I will put another one Deep breaths, arrow's not working, try not to scream. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to put any more pending orders on than that. Let's just see. Boom, straight to TP. That is what we love. Now we can get rid of that. And we can get rid of that. So we're now out of a trade. I'm just going to give it a couple of candles to settle down. Okay, so it looks like it's gone back to normal. So let me just zoom in again so we can see, because we're probably not going to get a big candle now until the 2:30. Same plan, guys. I'm going to try and put on a buy from here. And come on, arrow. I'm not asking much of you. Okay, so if it gets to this level, I'm going to buy. And if it gets to this level, I'm going to buy. Again, only looking for buys because my daily bias is telling me to. So it should be pretty obvious now how this all ties together. You pick your direction on a higher time frame, and then all day you're only looking for that direction, okay? At some point, if I've got this right, price will move higher, okay? It will eventually get to the 50%, which is often a little pullback zone, and it will probably get up here, which again is another little pullback zone. Remember what I said a minute ago about taking cheeky sells, about going the opposite way from your bias? It's up to you if you want to do it. I've done it loads of times, and honestly, it can be more trouble than it's worth just to win that extra trade. Okay, we've triggered in this buy. We're approaching the 2:30 open. Let me get rid of that. If this one wins, I'm going to call it a day, just because, as I said, if I win 3 in a row, that's typically me. And also, this isn't really the point of this video. The point of this video is just to show you how this relates to the higher time frame analysis. Let's just quickly finish this one. Is it going to get to TP? Oh, look at that. Right on time, right before the 2:30 open. So there you go. That's pretty much what I'm saying is, once you've got your analysis on a higher time frame, you should only trade in that direction. What I want to do just quickly is sort of show you an example, if I can find one, of like a typical indecision day, what it actually looks like. Actually, look at this. It's just pure indecision everywhere. So you'll tend to find these days, like if I can just zoom in here, where it literally doesn't matter whether you've got the direction right or wrong. When the market just retraces itself so much like this, you'll get out whether you were right or wrong a whole day. So in the example on the daily, where I showed the market going up and I cut the loser, it's very likely that actually it was like this. There was 2 very wicky days together. And in actual fact, I probably got out at break even or profit on those days. I just called it a loss for that example. But even then, you know, here you can see, look, break, retest, move higher. You would have easily made it back if you got the direction right here. If you chose to buy all this time. Honestly, trading view, what's going on with your arrows? If I chose to buy all this time, then even if I did take little losses in here, you can see how small they would have been, judging by the amount of movement compared to this. If I got the direction right here, I probably made back 3 times whatever I lost in here. So don't be afraid to cut your losers if you get the direction wrong. Okay.